This video was made possible by the good folks at Next Level Racing. To purchase a cockpit setup like mine or any other Next Level Racing products, check out nextlevelracing.com. What's up guys, it's Mike for SimRacing604, and today I'm going to be talking to you a bit more about Assetto Corsa Competizione, and specifically its transition from early access to full release. So on May 29th, 2019, Kunos officially released ACC from Steam Early Access into version 1.0, which was of course the public full release. And in today's video I'm going to just discuss how that transition has been received so far, and I'm going to compare it to a video I did recently in which I outlined my own expectations. I'm also going to compare it to some of the expectations I've been seeing in the sim racing community at large. So, if I had to summarize it so far, I think ACC's migration from early access to full release, if I had to summarize it in one sentence, I would say many of us expected a leap, but in fact, we got a step. So, to start off, I want to say that I don't want this to be a tirade against the ACC, nor do I want it to be just pure fanboy praise of the title. What I'm going to be talking about today, a lot of it is subjective, of course. Force feedback, video performance, and multiplayer racing, that's going to depend a lot on, what you look for in force feedback. Your video performance is going to be dependent on your own equipment, and multiplayer is going to be dependent on your region to some extent. So again, it's going to depend person to person. It's very subjective, so I don't want to say just flat out that ACC is good or bad in any area, but I'm going to sort of, as I said, talk about some of the expectations I had and some of the expectations I've been seeing in the community a bit more. So I'm going to do my best to compare the current state of the game, but keep in mind this is only version 1.0. I'm reviewing this at version 1.0, and if they support ACC as they did AC1, it's going to go on for many years and there's going to be huge improvements. So don't expect much of this to be relevant in a year from now. So I'm going to start my breakdown, guys, by talking about the graphics. So when ACC is on, when you have things dialed in, it is an absolutely gorgeous game, and that Unreal Engine 4, or now 4.22, I think is beautiful. It looks great. Like I say, when it's on, it's really on. The problem we're having right now as a community, I think we can almost all agree on this, is that the performance is tough to come by. So granted, if you check my system description in the description to this video, I'm running a 1080 video card with an i5 processor. So it's a generation old in both cases, actually, and top of the line in neither case. So should I be able to run epic graphics? Possibly not. But unfortunately, I can't even run a field of 20 cars in the dry without seeing a serious drop in frame rate. So that's a bit annoying. It would be nice to run, a medium to high number of cars, potentially even a full field, at least hitting 60 FPS. I'm not getting that right now. And then I know VR performance is also just dreadful right now. Almost everything has to be scaled way, way back, even for people with current gen video cards. And triple screen support, not quite there yet, unfortunately. We're getting stretching, we're getting the heads-up display only on one monitor, so it's tough right now. But looking forward to improvements in that. The anti-aliasing as well has not been great in full release, but hopefully we can get some performance updates with this coming soon, because like I say, when it's on, it's really on. Moving on to sounds, guys. In my video, I said I didn't expect huge changes to the sounds in ACC, and that is the case. Nothing much changed. Of course, we got the new content, so we got to hear some new sounds in that regard, but the sounds we've had before, I don't think needed much changing, and I'm glad they didn't. I think the interior knocks and pings and rattles and squeals and things like that within the cars are very, very accurate if you compare it to onboard footage from the Blancpain series. So very cool that they have that, and all the engine notes seem more or less on par. So my expectations were that it would not change much, and it didn't, and that's a good thing. Force feedback and physics, guys. So this one is really tough to judge. This one is very subjective. I run an AccuForce wheel. It feels fantastic right out of the box. I didn't have to change anything. I'm not even running a Sim Commander profile. It just feels really, really great. I turned dampening off, turned the strength down to 60%. That's all I did, and it feels great. I can feel everything in the road. I'm catching slides, which I know is not all that common, or at least there's a lot of people that are not doing it in ACC. So maybe I'm among the lucky ones, but you know, in terms of did it meet expectations, well, it met early access. Not much changed from early access when it comes to force feedback and physics. So if you liked it during early access, you will probably like it now. And conversely, if you didn't like it during early access, your experience will not have changed that much, I doubt. So you probably still won't like it. But overall, I really enjoy the physics and force feedback, but it's so subjective that I don't want to say universally that it feels great. Moving on, guys, to single player and career. So the career we did not have at all in early access, so this is a new feature in version 1.0, and I had some fun. You guys saw my video. I did the pre-season testing video. That was my first ACC 1.0 video, and I had a lot of fun with it. Unfortunately, though, once you sort of get beyond that, it just kind of, I wouldn't say it falls apart, but it's not as deep as we would like. If you're used to the Codemasters F1 series, if that's your basis of reference for what a career is in a racing game, it falls quite short of that. There's not, you know, the team and car and driver development you might expect. It's just sort of, it feels more like disparate races in the same car. But, you know, I think the potential is there. I like the idea of having a career in a sim game. It's not all that common. I like the idea of having some investment in winning rather than just winning for the sake of winning. So hopefully Kunos can add some depth to that career going forward. Moving on to multiplayer. So multiplayer is, as I've said before, what's going to be the defining sort of characteristic of ACC. How good is the multiplayer? It's called Competizione. It's supposed to be competitive. So the multiplayer so far, I know a lot of people had expectations that it's going to be GT Sport, that it's going to be iRacing. It is not that. Kunos has said that that is not in their plans, nor was it. So we're not going to have scheduled races, things like that. At least they haven't announced it anyway. What we're going to have, or what we do have, is a Join Now button where you can jump into a race with similarly skilled racers. The problem I have being in North America is that a lot of these lobbies are very, very empty. The servers don't have that many drivers, so it gets very tricky to find you know, races with a high number of drivers. But we can keep spreading the word. Hopefully more and more people discover ACC, and we can start to fill up those servers with more drivers. On to content. So the content is what it is. We have roughly 15 cars. We have 10 tracks. It's the full Blancpain lineup from 2018. We're also going to get 2019 as a free update somewhere in the next few months. That's going to be great. But the content is what the content is. We did get a couple of surprises at release with cup cars, and there was the Rex Gallardo. Very cool cars, and I like that Kunos slipped in that little surprise. But no announcements so far on any future content, so if you're into GT3 cars, this is probably a good option for you. But in terms of expectations, I mean, I don't think any of us expected there to be a surprise GT4 or something like that addition at 1.0, so it's more or less met up with expectations. In fact, probably exceeded it by having the sort of surprise cars that weren't expected to be in there, so bonus points for that. And finally, guys, the price, right about where actually a little bit below where I expected it. It's 40 US, 40 Euro. I thought it was going to be higher. I thought it was going to be close to 60 or 70. So pretty good value, and they gave 10% off for the first week as well. So guys, in summary, answering the question about did it live up to expectations, did it live up to the hype? Yes and no. It really depends on what you wanted out of the sim. You know, it's not the hot lap friendly modding paradise of its predecessor, Assetto Corsa 1, but you know, as a Blancpain licensed racing title, I think it has a lot of elements that GT3 sim fans were hoping for. It's neither unplayable nor a masterpiece. It's not complete in some areas, but in a lot of areas for people like me, it really shines. I've had some great times with this. I was hot lapping the 2018 Bentley at Silverstone, and it was incredible. It was so great to drive, and it just shows how good this sim can be. I'm hopeful that the modding community potentially can step up and we, get something better, something like SRS for ACC, and get those scheduled races. Not that we should be depending on the modding community necessarily to quote unquote fix a game, but given what has happened with AC1 and the incredible mod work that goes on around the world, we could see something like that for ACC. You never know. So overall, I'm probably going to play ACC for hundreds of hours before the fun runs out. I'm really enjoying myself. There are definitely bugs and areas I feel they should improve, but for me, the good outweighs the bad right now, and understandably, this won't be the case for everyone. If you're somebody that has a mid-tier computer and you're running VR, you're probably going to be struggling right now. Or if you're somebody that races only multiplayer, you might not be totally satisfied with the multiplayer experience in ACC. But for many of us, we have a licensed Blancpain sim racing title that seems to check many of the boxes we look for in a sim. So hopefully between the continued efforts and updates from Kunos and the sim racing community, aka the modding community, or I should say better yet, the modding community, ACC's place in sim racing should stabilize, and hopefully we'll have a new go-to GT3 racing title. So in closing, guys, my advice, for those that love the game, please continue to support and promote it. The popularity of the title is going to be invaluable for the multiplayer experience. It really is. And if you like ACC, but right now you can't live with the bugs, make sure that Kunos hears you. I advise you to be tactful in how you tell them. They're probably not going to be too responsive if you're going online and just having a tantrum, but if you're tactful, hopefully Kunos will listen and improve the things that need to be improved upon. And if you find it totally unplayable, same advice, let Kunos know how you feel. Be, tactful with it, be constructive with it, and take a break from ACC, because maybe the future patches will fix the bugs you hate, and there's too many great sims out there for you to waste your time playing something you don't enjoy. And finally, if you're on the fence, if you haven't decided whether or not to buy this title, I'd advise you to read or watch some of the many great reviews that are floating around and decide whether its current strengths and weaknesses line up with what you look for in a sim. It might not be perfect, but it might be perfect for you. So I think as a community, we have to agree, or we should agree, to make the most of what we have right now in ACC and try and keep the pressure on Kunos to improve the bugs we don't like. But let's try and keep the sim racing community the overwhelmingly positive community we all know and love. So as always, guys, I want to hear from you. Please let me know in the comments, how are you getting on with ACC? Are you enjoying your time like I am? What bugs have you found that either make or break the game for you? Well, they probably won't make it, but what bugs have you found that you just can't live with in ACC? Or can you look right past them and you're enjoying the title as is? Let me know in the comments, guys. As always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.